Hello everyone and welcome to r/ProRevenge where I tell you exciting revenge stories. Our first story is titled Former Manager Made My Life Hell and I Finally Got Her Fired. I was desperate to join a new job after my husband and I were both laid off last year. When I was offered a new role, I knew it would be a step down from what I was doing, but the manager and the team seemed great, and the part had not changed. However, since my manager Gary was so busy, he basically offloaded me to another manager called Jane. I was supposed to be the connection between my team and Jane, but it quickly became Jane micromanaging me. She would ask me to work through lunch, move/cancel vacation days, call at 11 p.m. on weekends, and order me around on phone calls. She also made nasty comments about my weight and said I was big. The list of personal slights was so long that it filled 3 pages. I would talk back to her, and she did not like that, and that provoked her more. I only stayed because we needed to pay the bills. Finally, I had a mental breakdown on a Friday afternoon, after she yelled at me for something trivial about scheduling a meeting without including someone from her team, who I did not know about. I was dealing with a family tragedy and couldn't take it anymore. I told Gary about the situation with Jane, and he was sympathetic and not at all surprised, considering half her team quit. He immediately offered to move me to a different team under him. I was thrilled. Well, turns out going to a new team didn't help. Jane continued to order me around from afar. When I ignored her emails, she came to my desk one day and started loudly talking about how I am not qualified for this role. Gary overheard and finally told her off. But the verbal abuse did not stop. After 2 months there, I abruptly wrote my resignation letter and stapled the list of Jane's offensive comments, and CC'd everyone. Gary offered a bunch of accommodations to try to keep me, but seeing how she was still provoking from afar, I said the only way for me to stay would be for her to go, and he did not have the authority to let her go. Her manager was in a different country, and despite several HR complaints from at least 5 people, nothing was done. So I left, loudly and without shame, telling everyone exactly why I was leaving. Times were very bad for 3 months. There were nights we would eat slices of bread just so we could pay the mortgage and emergency expenses from a health crisis and a funeral. Even after he found a job, we were still catching up on bills, and still are. I spent months applying for 5 to 10 roles per day, sometimes over 20. Last month, I saw a public memo about a big shot from a former company joining the company I just left. I used to work with this guy closely and texted him, "Congrats, let me know if you need any insights on the new place." We had a quick call where I told him some ins and outs where I thought they could innovate. After this call, he asked me to join the team as his chief of staff. I accepted. Imagine Jen's shock when we had our first all hands call. All the VPs and above were asked to welcome the new Big Shot in a giant conference room. In Big Shot's speech, he breezed over that I'll be his chief of staff, along with a few key names. I now sat 2 levels above Jane, and apparently, within the 3 months I was not there, the other half of her team turned over. Every single person left. Gary was excited for me and said all nice things. However, Jane took the classless route and sent Big Shot an email about how I'm an unqualified idiot, that I used to work for her, how I tried to get her fired, and that she suspects I lied to get ahead. She didn't even try to be fake nice. Big Shot forwarded me the email and asked what that was about. I was so nervous and excited. Little did Jane know I was a director at Big Shot's competitor company, and was already a level above her, so 2 levels isn't a big leap, and I worked with him for 5 years. I had an hour call with Big Shot and told him she was bad for the company culture and was a nasty person in general. But the evidence he needed was Gary confirming that her whole team has turned over, my prior resignation letter, which was still on my desktop when I logged in upon return, and a few other emails she sent her recent staff, which they were happy to share with us. Big Shot fired Jane on Friday, and I finally got my revenge. Our next story is titled, My Boss Stole My Super Bowl tickets, so I made him lose a major client. With the NFL playoffs back on, I thought you all might enjoy this football-related revenge story. I'm a huge Niners fan, the rabid all-day tailgate in the parking lot type. A few years ago, we made it back to the Super Bowl. I was working at a consulting firm with a handful of accounts I would interact with directly. One client in particular knew how big of a Niners fan I was. I was the day-to-day lead on his account. He really liked working with me and we became friends, often grabbing drinks or dinner after our meetings. He had access to a pair of extra company seats to the game, and as a thank you, wanted to give them to me as a gift. He passed the tickets over to the partner on that account, who I will refer to as Bad Partner, to be given to me as a surprise. The game came and went. We lost it. It sucked. The next time we went for drinks afterwards and he mentioned, "Hey, by the way, why didn't you go to the game?" I heard someone else was in your seats. I asked, what game? He said, the Super Bowl. Confused, I answered, I didn't have seats to the Super Bowl. He told me that he gave that partner a pair of his company tickets for me as a gift so I could attend. I had zero idea what he was talking about. He looked shocked, told me to quietly ask around about it and get back to him. When I was back in the office the next week, I found out through one of the secretaries that bad partner had given a pair of Super Bowl tickets to another one of his clients as a gift from the company. I might have let this sort of thing go to keep the peace under different circumstances, but these were seats on the 30-yard line to see the Niners playing the Super Bowl. I was pissed. I considered confronting bad partner myself, but realized it was the client who had noticed I wasn't there in the first place. So if I let him handle it, there would be no blowback on me. So I texted him, hey, I just wanted to thank you so much for thinking of me with those seats. It appears that they were given to another one of our firm's clients. He texted back right away, in all caps. Are you kidding me? And then, pretend I never told you, let me handle it. He followed up with me about formulating a plan. A few days later, we were asked to come down for a meeting in their office. The client requested the partner be present, not entirely unusual. So Bad Partner and I hopped a flight the next week and headed over to their office. Little did Bad Partner know, my client had orchestrated a wonderfully awkward little show to catch him red-handed. When we entered the conference room, it was all the usual suspects, along with a woman in her 30s we didn't recognize. My client immediately introduces, Bad Partner, this is Stephanie, such and such, VP from the other department. She wanted to sit in on the meeting. Hey Opie, you guys must already know her from the Super Bowl. She then responds as she goes to shake my hand. Oh, I don't think so. Did we meet there? I'm sorry if I forgot. Client responds, geez, Steph, how much do you have to drink? They were sitting right next to you. Client looks at me and I say, sorry client, I wasn't there. Are you thinking of someone else? At this point, bad partner is looking visibly uncomfortable, probably trying to come up with an excuse. He starts with an, when Stephanie says over him, no, so and so from other company were in the other seats. By the way, I was wondering why we gave company seats to those guys. Is there a project we're working with them on that I don't know about? Obviously not. They were in complete different industries. It would be like Coca-Cola partnering with John Deere. Bad partner lets out an again, and the client immediately speaks over him asking, Bad partner, I gave you those tickets for OP. At this point, Bad partner is turning bright red. He responds, oh, well, he wasn't able to make it, so he must have given the seats away to someone else. And turns to me looking for me to cover for him. Client smirks at me. I respond, what are you talking about? Client, you gave me tickets for the Super Bowl? Client suddenly raises his voice. Bad partner, those tickets were a personal thank you gift from me to OP. Did you give them away to someone else? Was it another client? Bad partner butts in with, oh, maybe something got mixed up in the office? Client went quiet for what probably seems like an eternity to bad partner. He then looked down, grabbed his portfolio and iPad, put them in his briefcase, and said, I think this meeting is over. OP, it seems as if I owe you a thank you gift. Let's go for lunch. Stephanie, you're welcome to join. Bad partner, I need to reevaluate our relationship. Please go back home and expect to hear from us next week. Bad partner suggests he would like to join, presumably to do damage control, and Stephanie sternly tells him, I don't think that's a good idea, and asks the front desk to see bad partner out. As soon as he's in the elevator, we all break out laughing hysterically. Stephanie wasn't really a VP, just an employee at the company who client had drafted into helping with his pre-planned meeting skit. But she did end up coming to lunch with us, and was a fellow Niners fan, and total blast to hang out with. On our way to the restaurant, I got a desperate text from Bad Partner saying I needed to cover for the firm, and that we could discuss things when I get back. I replied, yes, we need to talk, but I'll see what I can do. Client told me to wait a couple hours and then respond to him. 1. To expect invoices for the resale value of the Super Bowl ticket. Resale is way above face value, it was above 10k. As well as our lunch. He picked a pricey spot and made a big show of overspending, and that he expected them to be paid immediately. 2. Expected I be given a direct apology. 3. Expected a written apology to his company for what he considered theft. And 4. He will only interact with me or another one of the firm's partners, never bad partner. This whole thing caused a stir with the other partners, and I actually came off looking great, because it appeared that I had made a good faith effort to save the client for the firm. Despite being the victim in this situation, the client would transfer to another partner, which meant bad partner lost his profit share on any work with them. Oh, and the other partners in the firm made bad partner pay the invoices back out of his salary. In retrospect, I really have no idea what the heck the guy was thinking. Did he seriously believe the client would just not notice me not thanking him for Super Bowl tickets? Anyway, the well was kind of poisoned for me there long term, because bad partner wasn't going anywhere. I left the firm a few months later for a much better position. Client ultimately terminated their relationship with that firm a year later. He actually now works with a good friend of mine at a competing firm. I'm still pissed I missed out on the Super Bowl even though we lost, hoping we make it back this year so I can finally go to one in person. Thank you for listening all the way through. I hope you enjoyed. Please leave your feedback in the comments, and a like and subscribe would be appreciated.